Today is an historic day for our country and our democracy. For only the second time in a generation, we will vote on whether hundreds of thousands of American citizens will finally have their voices counted in Congress. Today, we will vote on whether to honor the most fundamental principles of this nation, principles on which the American Revolution was launched, principles for which countless patriots gave their lives, and principles that our founders enshrined in the Declaration of Independence: no taxation without representation and the consent of the governed. Today, we will vote on whether to allow the people of the District of Columbia to do what they have voted overwhelmingly to do, and that is join the Union as the 51st state. I can think of no more important endeavor than taking up this legislation today, to give the people of the district the same rights enjoyed by hundreds of millions of other Americans across our country. The United States is a republic, but its capital lacks full representation. The United States is the only democratic country that denies both voting rights in the national legislature and local self-government to the people of its capital. And that is wrong. It violates everything we stand for as Americans. The district pays more in federal taxes than 22 states and more per capita than any state. It also pays more in taxes than nearly half the states in this country. Yet D.C. residents have no vote in Congress. That is wrong. The district has a larger population than 2 states, and it has a higher per capita personal income and gross domestic product than any state. Yet D.C. residents have no say in the federal laws that govern them, and that is wrong. The district's annual budget is bigger than 12 state budgets, and it has a AAA bond rating. Yet D.C. residents cannot give final consent to their own laws. That is wrong. The people of the district have been fighting for equal rights for more than 200 years. In 2016, an overwhelmingly 86% of D.C. residents voted for statehood. They exercised their right to petition Congress to remedy this unfairness, and now we have an obligation to do so. I am very proud to be an original co-sponsor of this bill, which now has 215 co-sponsors. This landmark legislation is strongly supported by our Democratic colleagues from Virginia and Maryland, including the Majority Leader, Mr. Hoyer, who has committed to bringing this legislation to the floor next week, where I believe it will pass for the second time in 2 years. Unfortunately, so far Republicans have opposed our efforts. They would rather deny voting rights and self-government to more than 712,000 Americans than even consider the possibility that 2 senators from the new state could possibly be Democrats. Think about that argument. They are willing to violate the core principles of our democracy merely because the new senators might possibly be from a different political party. This argument is anti-democratic and anti-American. My question from my Republican colleagues are these: do you truly believe in no taxation without representation? Do you truly believe in states' rights? Do you truly believe that the federal government should stay out of local affairs? In 2007, Mike Pence, our former vice president and our former colleague in Congress, said this, and I quote, "The fact that more than 500,000 Americans live in the District of Columbia are denied a single voting representative in Congress is clearly an historic wrong. The single overarching principle of the American founding was that laws should be based upon the consent of the governed." And I quote, "The first generation of Americans threw tea in Boston Harbor because they were denied a voting representative in the national legislature in England. Given their commitment to representative democracy, it is inconceivable to me that our founders would have been willing to accept the denial of representation to so great a throng of Americans in perpetuity, end quote. Are these just words, or do they mean something? Because if we truly do believe these words, we need to do more than just say them. We need to do more than just repeat them. We must act on them. We must make them a reality, and that is exactly what we hope to do. Finally, before I close, I want to commend Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. She has been tireless in her advocacy for the rights of the district residents. She is author not only of the legislation, but of this moment in our history. I thank her for her dedication, her commitment, and her service, and I yield back.